fear is like an onion. It's built layer upon layer, and it gives you an illusion of protection and safety. So what you have to do is peel away at those layers until you meet yourself at the core. And the core of who you are, you will come to realize that you are a being of love. You are full of love. You have so much love within you that you couldn't see it because there was just fear obstructing it. There are two primary emotions or states of being in life that you can essentially boil down to, and they are fear and love. With most negative emotions, it can be boiled down to fear of some sort, with resentment, with anger, with anxiety, with doubt, with guilt. They all have some underlying fear if you look closer. And the same with the more positive emotions. So happiness, joy, peace, confidence, they all boil down to love in some way. And you have to realize that you cannot be feeling those two emotions or be in those two states of mind at the same time. So you cannot be feeling fear and love simultaneously. It's basically impossible. When you feel fear, you probably won't be able to feel a lot of love. It's going to feel like a block in your chest. You just won't be able to feel it. And similarly with love, if you feel love, then you probably are not going to be able to feel fear. If you think you ever felt love and fear at the same time, you either were, number one, switching between the two states rather quickly, or number two, you weren't being very honest with how you were feeling. So you might have thought you were feeling love, but the love wasn't very strong or authentic because there was an underlying fear underneath that you were not willing to look at. You were not willing to process and bring to the surface. And so that's why the fear might have been there, and the love wasn't really love. It was just masked by fear. So to transform this fear into love, this is what you have to do. You have to understand why you even have this fear, because the fear is only a symptom. It's not the actual cause. The cause is most likely a story, a belief, a programming that you are unconsciously holding on to, and you are not willing to part with it just yet. And that's okay. We are going to work through this together. Let's say that you are worried you will never be able to experience the relationship, the love that you actually want. Now, what is this actually saying? This actually points me to a fear that you don't know if you're good enough. You don't know if you're worthy enough for this type of relationship. Or you don't know if it's possible because of XYZ reason. So this is what you have to realize about your fears. They are false stories that feel real. There's an acronym that somebody came up with, not me, but it's basically false evidence appearing real, something like that. So when you have fear, tell yourself, remind yourself that this thing that I'm scared of, it's only false evidence that is appearing real, right? It's a false story that just feels real to you. It's not inherently true, but you believe it is. And that's what we have to that's what we have to detach from, this feeling of it being real, because it's not actually real. And the reason it feels real is probably because you experienced something in the past that was very similar and induced similar feelings within you. But know that the past does not have to create the future. The past does not dictate the future in any way. The fear does not have to say anything about who you are as a person. If you had experiences where you felt neglected, where you felt abandoned, that does not mean that you are worthless and that you are not important just because you felt those feelings in the past. That's where most people really attach onto their fear, really identify with the fear and the stories that the fear brings and make it their identity. They think that this is who they are, but it's not. It's just a false story, false evidence appearing real, right? Fear. Like I said in the beginning, think of yourself as an onion. You have to peel and detach from all those false stories that you have unconsciously held onto from the beginning of time. and realize that that is not who you are. You cling on to those stories because familiar is better than the unknown. Familiar is better than choosing a different story that feels foreign. But it doesn't have to feel this way. With this new understanding, with this new awareness that you will gain in this video, you will know that you are so much bigger than any fear, any story that you even create in your mind. You are above all of that. You are just someone that is experiencing them from above. You are the awareness that is looking down. And also realize that fear is basically always based on something that happened in the past that you are worried is going to happen again in the future. And so your body takes that in, and your body feels fear because it's trying to prepare you for the future. It's trying to prepare you for the worst case scenario, basically. And in a way, it does serve us because fear helps to protect us. But this type of fear, the type of fear that you make up in your mind, that you invent on your own, doesn't actually serve you because you aren't actually in any immediate or physical danger. You were just trying to prepare for the future. And obviously you can't predict the future. There is really no point in trying to predict every single event or prepare for every single event in the future. It's much more better to just use your energy, bring yourself back to the present, because in the present, that's where you can access love. That's the only emotion that is actually, in a sense, real. Because you're in the present. You're not focusing on what happened in the past and trying to prepare for it in the future. And if you are truly living in the present moment, that's where you will be able to live in the most love. And it's also important to note that this is not a one-time process. Don't think that just because you're able to feel love, you're never going to have to feel fear again. When you eat a meal, do you think that you will never be hungry again? Do you expect to never eat food again just because you've finished your meal? No, you are constantly going to have to feed yourself in a sense. And in the same way with the fear and love, you have to continuously feed yourself love when you get hungry or when you get fearful. And it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing skill that you have to learn how to do, and you have to make it a habit. It's okay to feel fear. It's normal to feel fear. So be okay with the fear coming up and know what to do when the fear comes up. Know how to dissolve the fear. Know how to feed yourself in a sense. Does that make sense? Know how to feed yourself when you get hungry. In the same way, you know how to dissolve the fear when it comes up again, and choose love. And to dissolve that fear, remember, fear and love are in opposite states, right? So for you to dissolve fear, you have to be in a neutral place or feeling some sort of love. You have to be choosing to live in love. It's a conscious choice that you have to make. It's a choice. Love is not something that happens to you. It's a state of mind that you decide that you are going to feel in this very moment. And it's a choice you make by understanding that your fears are only false stories that are kept alive by your past experiences and your memories of them, and that the past experiences are not who you are. You are so much bigger than them. So by recognizing that you are so much bigger than all the fears you could ever possibly have, you let them go and you stop focusing on them, because you are bigger than that and you have the power to choose differently. And I want to stress that this is not done by ignorance. This is done with awareness. Someone who is ignorant will try and suppress and avoid and deny the fear and try to force that love through them. But you really have to be honest with yourself. And you have to honestly let go of these fears. And you can only do that when you actually let the fear come to the surface and you let it go by choosing differently. And you let it go by having the higher awareness that you are not this fear. This fear does not dictate who you are. This fear doesn't get to have a say in your identity or how you want to show up or who you want to be. You get to decide that, not this fear. So you have to let go of this fear with this awareness, with this understanding, and not through ignorance. And if you struggle with these feelings of fear that come up and you struggle to see them eye to eye, face to face, it is completely okay. Just let yourself know that it is okay for me to feel this fear. I am human. Fear is a normal part of life, and it is okay for me to feel this fear. It is okay for me to feel this fear because I am bigger than this fear, despite how it might feel sometimes. And you choose to live in love by choosing to live in the present moment. You can also choose to believe or reframe your old story to one that makes you feel more love inside. That can also work. But essentially, it's all just a choice that you have to make to choose the love over the fear. It's a choice. Always remember that. It's a choice that is always available to you, within you, right this second, right now, but you just have to be willing to take it. If you continuously make this choice to believe this new story of love, choose love more than the old story, more than the fear, you are going to see that reflected back in your reality. You got this, guys. If you are scared, it's okay. I'm telling you, it is okay to be scared sometimes. We are all human. I get scared sometimes, and it's fine. It's fine. It's just part of life. You just have to know that you are bigger than the fear, and things will work out in the end. So you got this, guys. Dream big, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.